Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome to the beginning of a new series of videos that I want to do on this channel, talking about one of the things that I absolutely love, which is, wrestling championships. I've been a wrestling fan longer than I've been into RPGs and stuff like that, so it is something that does mean an awful lot to me. I'm a huge belt fan, and I just want to take advantage of any opportunity I get to discuss championships and their designs and what I think of them. And this series is going to essentially focus on the evolution of the World Championship, the WWE or WWF Championship, through the years, starting with the Winged Eagle, which you see in front of you here, going all the way up until the current network logo versions of the championship. So we're going to be focusing on how certain design elements from previous iterations of the championship would actually carry forward and evolve when they created a new design. So today we're going to be comparing the Winged Eagle to the 1998 Big Eagle. And just sort of see what elements of the Winged Eagle's design was carried over into the Big Eagle. And we'll also do a separate video for the Big Eagle to the Undisputed, a video from the Undisputed to the Spinner, a video from the Spinner to the Big logo, the Big Scratch logo, and then from the Scratch logo to the current modern day network logo. So like I said, we're going to look at the design elements very specifically on the championship and not necessarily the lineage of the title, although I will try to mention at least some of the individuals that held these championships. So this version of the championship, the WWE Championship or WWF Championship, is what I consider to be sort of like the first really iconic Reggie Parks design, or at least the most unique Reggie Parks design. Reggie did several belts for other wrestling promotions as well, and when Reggie made his belts, he did use a lot of clip art. So they had books that they would find various pieces of artwork in, for example, like the Eagle or the Grapplers, or things like that that he would use and reuse, because belt makers usually have sort of go-to or signature features. It could be design elements, it could be paint schemes, like for example the JMR belts tended to have sort of the lighter, almost turquoise blue globes on his belts. Reggie usually had darker paint on his, but he did reuse a lot of the clip art. And that's actually why I decided to start with the Winged Eagle, because it does feel like a unique design versus the Andre belt that I do have, which I love, and it's a fantastic title. However, the two eagles sort of flying away from the central globe with the dash pattern underneath is actually a design that was used on several other championships, including belts for, I think it was the AWA, I think even an earlier version of I want to say like the Strike Force WWF Tag Team Championships also used sort of that design. So the Winged Eagle was kind of a much more unique design in that it wasn't, at least as far as I could tell, wasn't used on a bunch of previous belts. However, it would be ripped off quite a bit in the future. Just ask ECW. But anyway, looking at the design elements of this championship, on the side plates, the main thing that we want to focus on is going to be the sunburst pattern, which originates in the middle of the side plate and then spreads to the top and bottom. We're not going to be focusing on the other design elements here, like the scroll patterns or the grapplers, because the Winged Eagle was the last version of the World Wrestling Federation Championship to feature grapplers on it. We wouldn't really see that again until they brought back the Big Gold World Heavyweight Championship, which did have, again, some grapplers on it. But as far as like the actual world title designs go, these, clip art grapplers would not be featured again on the world title, though they would be featured on, like, for example, the grapplers locking up theirs on like the Intercontinental Championship, so they would be reused other places, but we're mostly looking at the sunburst pattern here. On the center plate, which is the next thing that we're going to be taking a look at, we do have the large prominent eagle with the wings outstretched, and the wings are influencing the shape of the center plate pretty dramatically in this version, but it is something to keep in mind as we look at the evolution of the championship. We do have the sunburst pattern once again, sort of radiating out from the center, going to the top of the center plate here as well. However, it doesn't quite reach the ends of the plate. There is a little bit of a strip going above where the sun rays sort of reach their peak, and then going up to form the rest of the shape of the championship. But we do actually have sort of a ray pattern at the top here with sort of the zigzag top of the WWF or WWE logo. We do have on the banners here, we have the champion banner at the bottom of the plate, and we also do have two globes on the lower part or on the championship belt, featuring different parts of, or showing different faces, I guess, of the globe, if you want to call it that. And on the side of the eagle that's at the center of the plate, we do have two major features there, design features with sort of a circular area, with this one having grapplers in it, but we do have one thing to keep in mind is the circular area where there is going to be a design element from the winged eagle going to the big eagle belt. We also have the sunburst pattern going to the sides of the plate as well. And we do have the sidebars, which is one of the iconic features of the winged eagle, along with the eagle's wings forming the shape of the plate itself. So we do have these bars here. They are attached to the center plate by these bars here, but they are attached. They're meant to be all one piece. Unlike earlier designs, like some of the Bruno Sammartino belts that had sidebars that were detached, and like the current big logo and network logo, championships have the detached sidebars, but these ones are connected. And like I said, you got the sunburst pattern sort of reaching the sides of the belt there. The last thing we're going to be taking a look at is just the font for the lettering on this particular version of the championship. I forget the exact name of it. I've heard it referred to as a couple of different things. One person referred to as like the Gatsby font, or like the Art Deco or Golden Age or Gilded Age sort of a font here, but you do see that the letters are a little bit on the blocky side, but they do have lines sort of going through key parts of them there. Like on the O, there's a little section there where there's a line going through on the outer side of the outer edge, and where you have sort of the inside of the O lettering, for example, instead of it being perfectly round, you actually do have it coming down straight and then have it only being semicircular as opposed to a complete circle. So that's sort of what we have there. And again, we've got it on the heavyweight banner as well, and the wrestling champion banner. So that was the winged eagle. The major design elements, again, are the sunburst pattern on the side plates, the bars on the sides of the center plate, the champion banner at the bottom there, the eagle in the center of the plate around the painted globe, as well as the fact that there are two smaller globes on the center plate as well, and on either side of the eagle's wings. Before we get to the outside of the center plate, there are circular areas which have design elements sort of put into them. So that was the winged eagle. So we're just gonna slide this one up a little bit. We'll also zoom out a little here. And now we're going to compare it to the Big Eagle belt. So the Big Eagle made its debut in 1998, the day after WrestleMania 14, with Stone Cold Steve Austin being the first person to hold this particular version of the championship. I'm using the block logo version because it's my favorite version of the title, and this version was actually only ever held by two individuals, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kane. The belt was in pretty rough shape because of how badly Austin treated it. So Austin ended up creating a Smoking Skull Championship, and in November of '98, we would see the Big Eagle come back, but with the scratch logo. But again, we're not here to sort of talk about that so much as we are looking at the design elements that have carried over from the Winged Eagle into this particular version of the championship. So we do have on our side plates, we do have a sunburst pattern. However, it's not actually forming the shape of the plate, but it is sort of going from the center and radiating outwards. So we do have the sunburst lines at the top and bottom here. We also have them once again on the top and bottom of the inner side plates. Again, different shape, but we do have that little nod to the winged eagle with the sunburst patterns on the side plates here. And I'm not going to talk too much about the design of the side plates in this video because it's going to be more pertinent to when we compare this to the Undisputed, which will be a separate video, but we do have the sunburst patterns there. We also have the sidebars, once again being a prominent part of the Big Eagle Championship, which took elements from the Winged Eagle and just sort of expanded upon it. But yeah, we got the sidebars here. Now, they're not twisted sidebars like what we had before, and the sunburst pattern that was on the Winged Eagle that stopped before the bars is now actually going out past the bars and sort of forming the outside edge of those. But we still have the bars here. They are actually a separate, they actually cut out from the center plate. Now, again, this was actually a point of failure on both versions of the championship, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, with both of these belts, actually snapped off or broke the left sidebar off on both of them. So if you look at the WrestleMania 14 Winged Eagle, you'll notice that it has the horizontal parts of the sidebar, but the actual like twisted curved bar is completely missing, and that's because Austin swung the belt around in a segment leading up to the WrestleMania 14, where when he hit it on something, I think it was the turnbuckle, or I can't remember exactly when it was, but he actually ended up snapping off the sidebar there. And the Big Eagle version had the bars actually snapped right along here, so you can sort of see this line where the sunburst pattern sort of connects to the round circular portion of the center plate. That was actually completely snapped off, and like this bottom half of the bar was just completely missing. So again, sort of a point of failure. When they did the scratch logo version of the championship, what they actually ended up doing was, instead of cutting this out, it was just sort of recessed ever so slightly so that they could put black paint in there to have it blend in with the strap, and it created the illusion that the sidebars were cut out when they weren't actually. But even in that instance, it still looked like the sidebars were there. It's still that sort of design inspiration from the previous version of the championship. So here we have the eagle, again, very prominently featured towards the center of the main plate here. He has sort of shifted up a little bit. So the eagle and the winged eagle was sort of down towards the bottom of the plate and sort of stretching his wings upwards. Here we've got the eagle sort of a little bit higher up, about 2/3 of the way up the plate, and he actually has his wings spread outwards. Now, the wings still do influence the shape of the main plate here, but only very subtly, because you can see right here sort of where the gap between the sidebar and the main plate is. That is actually the eagle's wings, so it's not quite as prominent as what we had on the winged eagle, but it is still, the eagle's wings are influencing the shape of the championship. We also have the sunburst pattern returning on the main plate as well. However, in this case, it is actually reaching the outer edges of the center plate on the top, on the sides, and on the bottom here. So it's sort of just kind of gone a little bit beyond what we had on the winged eagle. And I gotta say, I actually prefer the way that this looks with the sunburst going to the very edge and just having sort of like the zigzag pattern at the tops there throughout the entirety of the top and bottom of the center plate, as opposed to just the top of the WWE logo or WWF logo, and having like this sort of just, again, sort of smooth area just right above the sunburst. So I do like the way that this looks a little bit better. Like I said, we do have the eagle at the center of the plate here with the globe. In this particular case, he's actually behind the globe and clutching it in his talons, as opposed to in the winged eagle, where he's in front of the globe with the globe sort of cradled in between his wings. But still, the eagle is, interacting directly with the globe on both versions of the championship. We do have the champion banner at the bottom, which does use the same font that we had before. So we do have sort of that like Gatsby or, Gilded Age Art Deco, whatever the font style is. I'm not entirely sure, but that did carry over for the champion banner. And this is still considered the World Heavyweight Championship. However, it doesn't say it on the center plate like it did on the Winged Eagle. Instead, it is featured on the property plate here, which has the company logo and then World Heavyweight Champion, along with the year that the belt was created. And the replicas have WWE 1998. The original belts would have actually just had JMAR and 1998. And then sort of the last thing to sort of look at here is on either side of the Eagle's wings, we do have a circular area reserved for a design element. However, instead of it being grapplers, because like I said, we don't see grapplers on the World Championship from this point going forward. Instead, it is just the two globes, which do feature different faces of the Earth, North and South America on the left side, and like Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia on the right side, which is the same orientation of the globes that were on the Winged Eagle. However, these are actually painted in. You can make out the details a little bit better. But there you go. So quite a bit of inspiration from the Winged Eagle to the Big Eagle. And I've heard a lot of people kind of refer to the Big Eagle as the Winged Eagle growing up and becoming an adult, as one way of sort of putting it. But the two belts were very clearly inspired by one another. And when JMR was making the Big Eagle belt that we see here, it is very obvious that he was taking a lot of design inspiration from the Winged Eagle that Reggie Parks had created. So there we have the first installment in this series. So we took a look at the Winged Eagle and how it influenced the design of the Big Eagle. In the next video in this series, I will be taking a look at how the design elements of the Big Eagle would influence the heritage design or the Undisputed Championship. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And let me know in the comments below, if you're a belt mark like myself, have you ever really stopped to consider just how many aspects of one world title design influence the next? Is it something that you've never even considered or thought about? I didn't really pay too much attention to it until I actually got my spinner belt, and that's kind of what created, and my spinner is the mini one. It's not, I don't have a full-size one. I don't think I'll ever get a full-size one. But that's sort of what started it for me, and I was like, you know what, there's actually a lot of elements taken from another belt that gone into the design here, and there are elements from this belt that are very clear inspirations for the design of the version that came after it. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about. It's a chance to, again, show off my replica belts. I love these things, and if I could talk about them, I could talk about title designs all day long, and hopefully, at least a few of you will be interested in this. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments who were your favorite individuals to hold the Winged Eagle and the Big Eagle version of the championship. For me, the Winged Eagle, it's Bret Hart easily any day of the week. And for the Big Eagle, it also has to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. There are other great people that held it. The Rock, Mankind. The Mankind winning the Big Eagle was probably one of the most feel-good moments in wrestling at the time. But Stone Cold Steve Austin is like synonymous with the Big Eagle belt, at least in my opinion. But yeah, let me know who your favorite individuals were to hold both of these different designs. Thank you once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.